big for the league to have a plaza, a market, a team like the LA Galaxy, and you have to realize where Major League Soccer still is around the world. A player hears LA is interested in him, he's not thinking LAFC. Most teams, most players, or most people only know that brand, the LA Galaxy, because of David Beckham, because that was one of the biggest brands, because that's what they were exposed to. But that's a reality of things. We did this thing in Ahora Nunca, where we're talking about what's a bigger failure, because both Cruz Azul and Inter Miami had historic seasons, historic regular seasons in terms of points, and they both bowed out at the worst, most impromptu times. And I started thinking, how is this even a debate?
It's Inter Miami.
Inter Miami
a lot, right?
has the best player of all time on their roster, who, by the way, is the league MVP, who, by the way, they gave the keys to the kingdom to. Here you go. Here are some stock in this team. You've got action ownership in Inter Miami. Here you go. You have MLS season pass subscriptions as well. You get a share of every subscription. Here you go. Here's your Adidas Messi money. Here you go. More money here and a salary and a future franchise. They gave him the keys of the kingdom. They gave you the keys to the kingdom not to bow out in 3 games to Atlanta United, to a 9th place, I believe, Atlanta United, to Rob Valentino, who's no longer with the team, interim coach, Atlanta United. In 3 games, they couldn't beat Brad Guzan. It's one of the biggest failures in MLS's history, and you damn well know every exec, Don Garber, whatever hair he had on top of that head, was pulling it out. You had one job. You had one job. It's one of the biggest failures I've seen in North American sports in quite some time.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still shocked, not just because Inter Miami was so good all year and they had Messi, the team they were playing. I mean, Atlanta United was, and they had a wonderful moment, but they were really a bang average team with an interim manager. And the real kind of damning part about this for Inter Miami is you can't say, oh, well, it's the magic of soccer. It was 90 minutes. It was 270 minutes. And they went out. So to me, it's just an all-time flop from Inter Miami. Absolutely not what we expected. Now, if you look at it from the LA Galaxy side of things, it's a totally different story.
Of course.
It is an amazing turnaround, and one which, frankly, I don't think, I think we put it in a good perspective when you look at what happened at the beginning of the year with the fan protest. That kind of tells you that the club was in turmoil. But the team was bad. Forget about the turmoil, because, that doesn't always affect what's happening on the field. That team was bad. They were 25-1 at the beginning of the season to win MLS Cup. And they had a great regular season. Probably should have won the West. Lost it on the last day of the year. And then followed it up with, for what my money has to be said, was a really rarely dominant postseason run. What I mean by that is you don't see teams just mop the floor with the opposition in the postseason.
Last season they were bad. I think this season they were getting to where they wanted to go. Certainly last season they were terrible, and certainly at times.
That's what I'm saying. Coming into this year,
yes,
they were a very, very bad team. Forget about the fans being upset. Just they were a bad team with little hope. Nobody saw them winning this.
Well, not even they saw themselves win. I don't know if you remember, we had Maya Yoshida
in
MLS preseason, and I said, hey, Greg Vanney, the LA Galaxy, they're used to winning. With this roster, can you win? I'm paraphrasing, but that was the question. Alongside by Maya Yoshida. He didn't believe it until you see it, until you see this team come together. For the first time in Major League Soccer's history, you have 4 goal scorers who all 4 get double-digit goals. You've got newcomer of the year in Gabriel Peck, who scored 20-something goals, had like 17 assists. You knocked it out the park with Joseph Painstill. You do great things with Joveljic, who becomes the 9 that you need, and you convert Ricky Puig, who many people, when he came to Major League Soccer, wrote him off. Problem child from Barcelona. This won't work. Don't do it. And he's an MVP candidate. And by the way, 30 minutes on a torn ACL and gives a legendary performance that will be talked about for years to come. Assist, game winner, his team goes on in MLS Cup. But as you said, dominant postseason. It's almost like it was meant to be this way.
Yeah. Probably worth mentioning in all this, the coaches. The Inter Miami failure both gets blamed a lot on Tata Martino and then ultimately ends up maybe not costing him his job, but I think certainly playing some role in his decision to leave. Let's not forget Greg Vanney, where he was at the beginning of the season. I think he probably was the MLS coach on the hottest seat at the beginning of the year. Maybe Josh Wolf, maybe you could argue it, but he was in that argument. And so, you see one coach that didn't get the job done in the maximum moment, under a lot of pressure, he loses his job. The other guy saves his job, I think, with the season that he had, Greg Vanney.
I mean, and forget save his job, but changes the perception of those fans. Many of those fans, after Chris Klein was out and after Jovan Karofsky were out, the next head on that chopping block was Greg Vanney.
Well, in his first 3 years, Greg Vanney, I think, I'll double check this, had lost more games than he'd won with the Galaxy. So, fans had every right to be not just upset with the front office, but specifically with Vanney himself. And obviously they turned it around in an amazing way in 2024.